Here we are on the road, on the way to
Burnsville, Mississippi for the Vanleigh factory tour.
There's only, I say this now, I may be wrong once I get there. There's only one reason to go to Burnsville, Mississippi, and it's for the Vanleigh factory tour. And it's not just any factory tour today. We have the very unique opportunity to see our rig being built today. We're not 100% sure it's going to be on the floor. They told us it's in production this week, so here we are on a Tuesday. They do tours on Tuesday and Thursday. We just got done with Rich's RV training at the NRVTA in Athens, Texas, and we're like, oh, Mississippi's only a couple states away. Let's do this. So we are heading north in northern Mississippi on our way. I don't know if we could be more excited.
Can't wait to see what form our rig is in, because we have no idea what we're going to get, but we're going to see it in some form.
In some form, I hope. So come along with us. We're gonna have some fun. Before we jump into the tour, I want to give you a few details about the Vanleigh factory tour. It only happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 2:30 and 4. They have a limited amount of people. There were 2 other couples, so 6 total. So we don't know what the capacity was, but it's probably close to that amount. There will be a link in the description below so you can find all the information you need to set up your tour.
So one of the things Vanleigh asked us specifically is not to shoot any video during the tour. They were quite happy with us taking photos of the tour as long as we don't show kind of any things that we saw that aren't made public yet or things like that, and we were happy to accommodate that. And of course, as we mentioned in the car ride on the way to the tour, we did know that our rig was scheduled to be on the line in production when we were there, but Vanleigh cannot guarantee that you'll see your rig on the days of the tour and in what condition it will be in. So it's a matter of luck if you get to see your exact rig being built and on the factory floor. So we consider ourselves very lucky that we actually got to see it live and in person and where it was.
And I can say, if you have a better shot of seeing or actually identifying your rig that's on the floor if you go on the Tuesday tour versus on the Thursday tour versus the Tuesday tour, because your rig will be further along in the process.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. Yeah. The other thing you'll want to do too, if you want to find your actual rig on the production floor, is know your VIN going in.
Know your VIN going
Know your VIN going in. So you can identify what rig is actually yours. Up on the front end, there's a build sheet that has the VIN number and kind of the place where it is in the process. And that's how we identified which rig was ours. But when we walked by it and I saw it,
we just knew it was calling to us.
Yeah, you kind of knew. We saw the dishwasher in and the washer dryer in, and we just kind of had a feeling that was ours.
Howie was calling to us. Take me home. When you start the tour, you'll notice there's a lot of components around the factory just waiting to be added to an RV. Like there's axles and toilets and TVs and ceiling fans and windows, and they're all in these areas. As you go through the assembly line, they're in the appropriate areas. But it's really cool to see.
So the process all begins with frames that are built on site, custom for Vanleigh by Lippert, and they roll in. Actually, they roll in upside down, and the process begins completely upside down, where all of the underbelly is put in. The tanks are put in, the underside's put in, axles, tires, the leveling system, and then the units get flipped right side up, which we don't have any pictures of that, but that was pretty cool to see. The frames actually get flipped, turned around. Then the flooring's put in, and the process begins.
It's a very fascinating process that the rig is built from the inside out. Things like washers and dryers and dishwashers, and they get added first before all your sidewalls are added. And I think one of the most interesting things about the entire tour for me is this process is all by hand. There are humans everywhere building this rig. There's really not much automation, if any, there's blood, sweat, and tears that goes into every Vanleigh, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, they really truly are hand built from the ground up.
Yes.
So during the build process, there's many different things that are happening all at the same time. So first of all, while the rig's rolling down the line, all the slide boxes are built and assembled and ready to go for the rigs, whether it be a bedroom slide, a dinette slide, or even a kitchen slide. Everything's put in the slide units, pre-assembled, ready to be slid right into the rig. Super fascinating. Didn't know that it happened that way.
No.
During that time, the sidewalls are being prepared too. The aluminum frames are put together, the foam insulation is put inside, and then they're bonded with the fiberglass exterior, all done by hand. And then while that's happening, the roof is being assembled. The subroof's being all put together, all made out of aluminum, the ductwork's being put in, and then the PO surface goes on, and the air conditioners are moved into place.
And then at the end of the line, when almost everything is done, you see this big long line of rigs, and it's so cool. So some rigs are going this way to go get their full body paint, and some rigs are going this way to go get their decal, but they all end up at the quality control end of the road, I guess you could say. It's kind of outside where they check everything, make sure everything's working well, and then I believe if you get a beacon with full body paint, then you're like 1 to 2 weeks to go to the paint plant. So after all the quality control and the PDI has been done, then your rig gets scheduled to be on a transport or be transported to wherever it's going.
One of the things we did see while we were there was a number of rigs back in the storage yard that were waiting for different parts. So keep in mind, there are still supply issues out there. Vanleigh is building rigs as best they can and getting them to the most finished part that they can. But there were rigs that were waiting for furniture, for air conditioners, for different parts. So that's one of the reasons that the process is taking a little longer than it typically does. But again, Vanleigh is doing everything they can within their power. So as we may mention to earlier in the video, we identified which rig was ours while we were on the tour. But of course, we didn't want to be rude and interrupt the rest of the tour for everybody else while we saw our rig in the process. But I will say Vanleigh was very, very accommodating. When the tour was over, Jake, not from State Farm, from Vanleigh, was super gracious and took us back to our rig to let us spend a little time with it. By that time, it was about 4:30. The production day was pretty much over. There weren't very many people on the floor. There wasn't much action happening in the plant. So he was happy to kind of let us take a tour and spend a little bit of time with Howie.
It was wonderful. And what was really cool is when we walked by the first time, there were no walls up. But when we went back, there was a sidewall up. So that's how quickly everything happens. There were a few workers there working on our rig. They did, I think, have an overtime shift. But it was just so wonderful. We did a walk around all sides, kind of saying hi to Howie. And then the most amazing thing was allowed to happen. We got actually onto the rig.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. So we actually got to stand on the floor and have a look at Howie live and in person. Got to stand in the living room area, have a great look at the entertainment center, the raised kitchen being built with the cover on the center island. Then we got a look at kind of the view up the hallway. I got this great photo of Victoria from the hallway, kind of looking back with her standing in the living room. And so special thanks to the entire team of Vanleigh. First, our Western Regional Sales Manager for Vanleigh, who has been in communication with us during the entire ordering process and coordinating with us, letting us know when our rig was going to be on the floor, setting realistic expectations, and then everybody that was on the tour was fantastic. No matter what rig you're buying or thinking about getting, if you get an opportunity to take a manufacturer's factory tour, do it. If you get a chance to look at different manufacturers, if you're considering different ones, take any manufacturer's tour you can. They're fun, they're enlightening, and you really get to see what you're going to be purchasing. So the great news is our rig is now in Denver. Just the other day, we did our kind of pre-delivery inspection walkthrough. Lazy Days has our punch list. They're currently working through our rig. We didn't have many items. We had a few here and there. We'll talk about those in another video, and taking delivery of our rig early next week. We are so excited.
Oh, beyond excited. It was, I don't think anything was more shocking than stepping into Howie, like all built, especially after seeing him on the floor. It was surreal. It was exciting. It was terrifying on some level, because that means, hey, it's all here. But you know, when you buy something and then you get it and you're like, oh, cool, this is exactly what I wanted. This was that and then more. I was standing inside the rig going, this is 1,000 times better than I thought it was going to be. And you don't get that experience very often, and I'm so happy that we had that experience with Howie.
So we're going to leave you with a quick montage of photos from Howie being on the factory floor and morphing into a finished final product.
Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps us out. And give us a thumbs up, a like. That would be great too. And until next time, happy exploring.